Hello everyone, Reginald Scott here. Welcome to the video. Great to see you all again. I hope you're all well. And if you are a new viewer to my channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you're feeling inclined, share with a friend. That would be absolutely fantastic. And thanks to my regular viewers watching my videos, liking my videos, sharing my videos, YouTube has blessed me with enough revenue to buy myself an overhead camera mount. So this is like almost a professional video I'm doing here. My lighting is still atrocious, so I'm going to work on that next, but I actually have an overhead camera mount now, so I'm super excited because it's going to make my videos a little bit better, and I enjoy doing that. So there you go. Thank you so much everybody who supported me by watching my videos. I really appreciate it. Today we have got some new tools. Quite a big box of tools actually. This is the largest box of tools I've ever bought from Aliexpress. These are of course Chinese made and Chinese branded bicycle tools, and these are for hubs. And I've been walking around my shop sort of finding old hubs and things that I can use to demonstrate today the power of this tool. We're going to get into it today. So to give you some context, a few weeks ago I reviewed this, which was another AliExpress buy, and this tool has been absolutely fantastic. This is a bottom bracket bearing removal tool, and I've got loads of use out of this since I bought it. I've been using it in my servicing here at the shop, and it's been absolutely fantastic. So I can definitely recommend this thing. If you're interested in one of these, I paid around $60 for this, and you can get them on AliExpress. This is the particular brand Ride Race that I bought, but there are other brands out there selling exactly the same tool set. Just try and get the one that is the best value for you with regards to delivery as well. And then before I show you today's product, I just want to refresh your memory of what a bearing press looks like. So this is a wheel bearing press. This is from wheelsmanufacturing.com. Fantastic tools that they make, but these are very expensive. I don't know the price of this one. I'll stick it on the screen when I find it. I checked the website and they don't seem to make that kit anymore, but they make this one and it costs around $300 USD. But generally speaking, these kind of things are really expensive, and they are beautifully made and they do work really well. But they have limitations, and there are certain jobs that this press cannot do. For example, this press cannot press bearings into this kind of hub because there is a axle in the way. So you have to buy an additional adapter kit for something like this in order to press these bearings in. And another thing that this can't do right now, maybe you can buy an adapter kit for it as well, is push the bearings out of this hub. So I can't get the bearings out or in this kind of hub with this kind of press. Same goes for these sorts of hubs. This is an XDR V2, but I can't remove the bearings from this with this press. I can put them back in though, however. This one as well, I can't remove the bearings from. And this one as well, I can't remove the bearings from it, but I can press them back in. So although it's a lovely press, and I love it and I use it a lot, it does have limitations. So I was scouring AliExpress for more bike tools, as you do, and I came across this thing. Now, the first thing I can say about this press kit is it's beautiful. It is really, really pretty. The color's very, very nice. It's kind of a burnished gold look to it, as you can see. Some dirt there, I'll just wipe that off. So it's very pretty. And it's pretty well made as well. Let me just grab the handles. One thing about this kit is things are really difficult to get out of the foam because the foam is quite deep. But, you know, nicely machined. These ones, these handles here for the press are removable. You can see the threading inside there as well. It's got some little nylon bushings on it. They might not actually be nylon. They might be cheaper plastic than that, but anyway, got some little plastic bushings on it. These handles get a little bit rattly in use if they come loose, but it's not a major problem. But very attractive, very nicely made. However, looking through the kit, there are a few blemishes. Basically, every now and again, do you see those lines there? Sort of like lathe lines or machining lines. It's not quite perfect on the machining there. Here we go. See this one? You can see that the color is still there inside that dent. So you know that that dent was there when it came from the factory. It's got a few of them. See, there's one there, there's a bunch here on this edge, marks there, marks on this edge. So this one got really beaten up when it was coming off the machining before it was anodized. So there's a few things like that, which is similar to the other bearing set that I got previously. This kit cost me $80 US, which is the most expensive and largest Aliexpress toolkit I've ever bought. It doesn't come with much in the way of instructions. This is all you get, one side in Chinese, one side in English. It just shows you the tools, lists out the tools or the names that it gives for the tools. And then you get these two here, which are QR codes, which you can scan. One takes you to a video for how to use the tool with a DT Swiss 350 hub. And the other one takes you to a video showing you how to, service a hub that looks like this. Now, the hub they use in the video is a Novatech hub, which is another kind of Chinese brand hub, very common on the market. And the Novatech hubs are very popular because they're reasonably well made and they're very cheap. But they do kind of look like this, basically, this sort of design. So there is some instruction with it. These QR codes take you to Bilibili, which is a Chinese version of YouTube, and it's all in Chinese characters, so it's quite hard to navigate the website, but I did manage it, and I did manage to watch the video. So it gave me some instruction on how to use this kit, but a lot of the tools here, they don't show you how to use, and they don't explain how they work. These come in two parts. They kind of look like spools for threads, you know, like in a sewing machine or something. And they have an internal and external, or male and female, if you like. And these are designed to go through and inside certain hubs, okay, for the purpose of pressing or removing the bearings, all right? You get two threaded rods, a short one and a long one. Obviously, I like that because sometimes you don't need the long one, and it's annoying having to constantly spin the handle all the way down just to get to the bottom to do a small job at the end. And then you get little things like this, these little pusher pieces. And these are really odd, actually. Let me find one that integrates with one of the other tools. Here we go. With these, they've got a little rubber O-ring on them, and you can push them in like that and make new pressing or pushing tools. Very odd. Not seen that before on another bearing press. And these go in a variety of different tools in this kit. See, there you go. I can push it into this one as well if I want to extend my reach. It comes with measurements on it. This is internal and external diameters. So this is 15 millimeters internal, 18 millimeters on the outside. So that does help you select the right ones if you've already memorized all the sizes. And some of the tools come with indications on them what they should be used for. So for example, this one says 350 on it. So this is supposed to be for a DT Swiss 350 hub. Supposed to be. And this one says RT, which, if I'm perfectly honest with you, I don't know what that stands for. Russia Today? No, I don't know. XD, I know what an XD is. Okay, so we've got XD hub, and we've also got XD 3SB. Okay, what else we got in here? This one's just a measurement, 12 to 16 mil. We've got another one here This one is 17 to 23.4. Very specific. Right. You also get this sleeve here, which is designed to hold your hub bodies while you're pressing bearings out of them. Okay. Both way rounds, it's designed to give somewhere for the bearing to get pushed into. Another couple of cool tools that you get with this set, which could be very useful to you, is a DT Swiss ratchet tool. Okay, star nut tool if you like. I've got one here. So this is an XDR hub, and the XDR comes with the ratchet system. This is not how you would use it. Usually you'd use it on the other side of the hub, but just to demonstrate that it fits. Usually quite expensive to buy these. If you want to buy the DT Swiss one, it's not cheap. So having a knockoff one that seems to work well is good. And the other advantage of this tool is the DT Swiss one has got square sides to it because it's designed to fit into a vise, and then you're supposed to put the wheel on top and turn it in the vise. This one has a socket on it, which is way better because this means you can use it in a wider variety of tools, and it will make life much easier. One of the big problems with the DT Swiss star nut tool is it is a real pain in the ass to use. This one, I can actually put it on a variety of other tools, so I'm really happy with that, and it will make life a lot easier removing those very stuck on DT Swiss hubs that you always get. And then this thing. Now this thing is really weird because it comes with a cassette removal tool, but the one on this side is a really rare bicycle tool that is very difficult to get hold of. It's so difficult to get hold of nowadays. It's for Shimano hubs, for taking out the internal loose ball bearings or cup and cone bearings with inside Shimano hub bodies. It's so difficult to get hold of that I actually made one. This is the one I made for myself out of an old cheap socket. And this one comes with a clamp as well. So you can clamp it down on the hub body when you're removing the lock ring inside. And that makes life so much easier because this thing I find often slips out. So although it looks very cheap and simple, it's actually quite a useful tool to have. So I'm happy with that as well. All right, so we'll start off with this WinSpace hub. Now, all the hubs that I have here today are my hubs. So anybody who's upset about me pulling and pressing bearings in and out, these are not going to be sold, okay? You want to push out these bearings, but a normal bearing press won't do the job. So what we do with this thing is first we have to find a sleeve here that fits. We've got this one here, which is 17, and that one also fits. So I'm going to go with this one because it's going to give me more support when I push the bearing out than this one. All right. Next, we need to choose a rod. I think we're going to go with the longer one because we'll probably run out of space quite easily here. Now, the action on this thread is really nice. These handles spin beautifully well. Let me just open this up a little bit because it's too much. Look at that. Whee! We're supposed to put this cup thing, and that fits over, in this case, it fits over the locking area for the disc brake. Stick that on the top. Now these threads are really narrow, and they're designed to be narrow. Sorry, the threaded rod is very narrow. Designed to be narrow so they fit through a lot of different axle sizes. This is as narrow as a quick release. The problem there is that the threads are very small. So if you don't get a good purchase on the handle, like if you don't get enough threads into the handle, if you try and start turning the handle with the only a little bit threaded in, you stand a really good chance of tearing the threads out of these handles. So that is something to look out for if you're going to buy this kit for $80 US. And now what happens is, as we turn this handle, it's going to push down on the axle. This is going to turn the bearings out or push the bearings slowly and incrementally. So there's no impact on the hub and there's no impact on the bearings. Now the bearings are being pushed out by the inner race because that's what's held behind the bearing with the axle. So we are applying pressure to the inner race, which is not necessarily good for the bearing. But in theory, if we're removing the bearings, it's because we are, in theory, going to throw them away. However, I'll tell you one thing, this is a lot better for the bearing than hitting it with a mallet, because that impact is far more likely to cause the bearing to dent the race, or the bearings to dent the race, than this incremental and gradual pushing is. So if you are going to use the bearings again, this is a better way of doing it. Okay, so that's now pushed all the way through. Okay, take that off there. And as you can see, the bearing and the axle have been removed. And you can see there where the bearings were held in place by the axle. Still got one bearing left inside, so we need to remove that one now. Now where this gets interesting is that this cup or sleeve here isn't a very good match for the other side of the hub. It rests right on the edge of these teeth, which obviously is eventually going to dent this contraption, but we're just going to use it as is today. Right, now we've got that in there, we need something to push this bearing out. So now I'm going to search for what that is. Okay, 17mm fits. Next, we need something to give us a bit of length, so one of these. So I push this plunger or head into this extension, and that gives me something to work with that I can use to push out the bearing. Whoops, wrong way around. This way around. Okay. That's in there. Stick the handle back on. Again, threading this on is a little bit tricky because those threads are so small. So you have to be careful that you don't damage your threads when you're doing it. And here we are again. Now I can push this bearing out. Shouldn't take too many turns to pop out. There we are. All done. It actually did what it's supposed to do, which is remove the bearings from this hub, and I didn't have to use any impact in order to do it. Again, you're pushing against the inner race, which is not ideal, but it's certainly better than hammering them out. Now I want to put these bearings back in, and this is where it gets a little bit weird. Pop the axle back in. Pop the bearing on the other side back in. See, now it goes on the blue side by the look of it. There we are. Now we have to push these two sides together. So we need a sleeve that can fit over the length of that axle. And the only thing that I can find that does that is this one. And again, I'm pressing in on the internal section of the bearing. I'm pressing on the inner race, not the outer race. Really, when you're fitting a new bearing, you want to be pressing on the outer race. So this kit is weird because it only presses down on the inner ring, on the inner race. And there isn't anything in this kit, okay, that is wider that would spread the load out, which I find really bizarre. I thought it would have. I thought with this comprehensive kit, when I saw pictures online, I assumed there would be something in the kit in order to do that, but there just simply isn't. The other side, let's see now, we need something 17mm. That one doesn't have any measurements on it. Okay, this one here appears to be about 17. So I could use this one to push it in. And this is wider, it's chunkier, but it's still only touching on the inner race. It's not touching on the outer race. So it's bizarre to me that this is how they designed this kit. Like I say, online, when I saw pictures of it, I really thought that these would work in a different way. I actually thought this side was going to do a lot of the pushing somehow, because on the pictures it's not clear. They never show you actually that these things come apart on the pictures. So I thought, this is a fascinating kit. Let me see how it works. But anyway, look how big this thing is. It's enormous.
It's not the size that counts, it's how you use it.
But I want to use as wide a press as I possibly can. I'm sure there are narrower ones in this set, but I don't want to use a narrow one. I only get through a few threads on there. Then we turn. A little bit disappointed with this, to be honest with you. I think it could have been designed better. I don't understand why they don't give you a wider drift with the same internal diameter so that it matches the bearing external diameter. I say it doesn't make any sense to me. I think that's it. And there it is, all put back together again. Obviously, you're not going to feel any ill effects from pressing against the internal part of the bearing, the inner race. But again, it's not ideal. But that's how it works. Strange, right? These have an internal sleeve, as you can see. But these bearings are pressed in from both ends. The one they demonstrate with on the instructional video are these kind of hubs, which the bearings are pushed in only from the top. And so their plungers can go inside and push from the back and push the bearings through without needing to interfere with these internal sleeves, right? Preload tubes, should I say. The first hub I went to get to play with was this one. And I could not find a drift or pusher in this set that would work with this hub. The closest I can get is this one, which is a 12mm. That happily fits all the way through, but that's a problem. We don't want it to fit through. We want it to catch on the edge of that bearing you can see in the back there. So we need it to be a bit more than 12mm. And nothing else in this kit fits that hole. Absolutely nothing. I've been through the whole thing, and they don't make a single one that fits in that hole. What size is this? It's 14mm internal diameter. There isn't a single drift or pusher in this kit which is 14mm. So this kit that was advertised as working with this kind of hub doesn't work on this kind of hub. Bit strange. So I would have to go to a machine shop or something and get them to make me a custom 15mm pusher head, like one of these things, in order to get this to push this thing out. Very odd. So that I couldn't basically do anything with. This one, I have found a way to remove the bearings from this, one at a time. Right, that can go in there. Then what I need to do, I've made a bit of a mess here, haven't I, is find a pusher or drift that fits perfectly in that hole. I think it's this one. So this one is the 17 by 23.4. Yes, okay. So here's the thing. That tube in there, the preload tube, you can move it around. If you move it, it gets in the way, like that, of those bearings. Then what I do is I stick that in the hole, and now it's pressing up against the edge of that preload tube. This is not ideal, but this is the only way I have found that this kit can actually remove this tube, these bearings. Like I say, it just pushes all the way through when the tube is in line. But if the tube is off center, the drift pushes against it. I'm using the other one as a speed spacer, basically, so I don't have to wind down the handle so far. First time I did it, because I've been experimenting with this, but it is pushing up against the edge of that preload tube. Don't worry, I'm not using these hubs in anybody's wheels. They are mine, but it works. You know what? If somebody knows how to use this kit better than me, or already has one of these kits, I would love to hear from them how they use it. So there you go, look. It has pushed, almost pushed the bearing completely out. It worked the first time I did it, but it did not work this time. There we go. So, now the collar and the bearing have come out, and we're left with the bearing in the other side. We've messed up the end of our little pushing thing here. Whatever. This is all part of science and experimentation. So now we can use this one to drive the other bearing out. This, again, doesn't properly fit on the back end of here. It just lightly rests. But hey-ho, that's the way things go. And now we can remove the second bearing. All right. It's like, I feel like this kit is just missing tools. They made a kit that's kind of half-baked, that doesn't quite have enough tools to complete the job. Right, that one's open now. And again, the process for putting the bearings back in is, you know, similar. Stick that sleeve on, stick that bearing on. Now can we push this thing on? Should be able to. Yeah, now it's working. Okay, done. Finally. Okay, so there you go. Our hub body has both bearings back. But again, we're pushing on the inner race, not the outer race, which I don't like doing. And what's weird with this kit as well, there's nothing that fits on the internal here. I mean, this does, but it doesn't match. This does, but it's not exactly the same diameter again, so it's not pushing against the outer race. I don't understand how they can design this kit for these kind of bearings and not have drifts that match properly. Right, the final issue with this kit. I noticed when I put it inside this sleeve, it stopped. On the advert, or sorry, on the video that they show online, this sleeve goes all the way down and it bottoms out against the bottom of where the cassette rests on your hub body, right? Which makes sense. This one only goes part way down and then it gets stuck. Now you can see there's a narrowing here on the inside. Is that unfinished material that they should have removed? Interesting question, isn't it? Because it doesn't fit. It stops part way down and then it gets jammed. It should be flush like that. Along comes this one. Now this one we can push out because, as you can see, the internal diameter here is much larger. So where did our pushing thing go? There we go, that one fits. The XD, even though this is not an XD hub, the XD fits just about. So now we're going to wait to push this thing out, but same problem. It doesn't bottom out. So what's going to happen when I drive these bearings out, it's going to drive this hub deep into this aluminium shell of this tube, and it's going to make it impossible for me to remove my hub. You watch what happens. I have not tried this yet, but this is exactly how they show it being used on the advert, or on the very helpful video on Chinese YouTube. It's exactly how they demonstrate it being used, with this sleeve, with this kind of hub. And watch right now, watch this hub get completely stuck in here, because I know that's what's going to happen. And that's stuck. Number one, it's not succeeded in pushing that bearing out. And number two is that hub is now fully jammed inside this tube.
It's a trap!
It came out. I think I've actually expanded it by doing that. So it's a very tight tolerance. But it's still not driving the bearings out. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it's not driving the bearings out. I should have realized this before I started. The reason it's not driving the bearings out is because inside this hub, and I know this, is at the bottom here a C-clip. And the C-clip holds the bottom bearing in. So all I was doing there was driving the bottom bearing up against the C-clip. So the only way you can get this one out is with the bearing puller. For the ones advertised, they don't work. For ones that have additional design features, they don't work. They don't open this kind of hub, even though it's advertised to work for a DT Swiss style hub. The only thing this thing does well is drive bearings out of one of these kind of hubs and put them back, but you're still pressing against the inner race, which is not ideal for the hub design. And I have other tools that do a better job of that already, that use a mallet. I appreciate the DT Swiss tool, that's great. I appreciate the Shimano tool, that's great. It looks lovely, apart from the few bits where they missed painting it and things like that. But yeah, weird kit. Cannot recommend. I guess this is why I do this, right? I buy stuff, I test it out, and sometimes it's not good. That's all I can really say. Have I missed anything today? Is there anything I've missed that you want to know about this kit? I just don't understand as well why all of these are the same diameter. These ends. If these ends were different diameters, you know, okay, so it works as a bearing removal tool, but if there were different diameters on these ends that matched up with standard hub bodies, then it could be used to press in all sorts of bearings. If you are a bike mechanic or you are an engineer and you understand things like this, feel free to call me stupid and tell me where I've gone wrong here and tell me how I've misinterpreted the way this thing has been used. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I was very excited about this tool. Unfortunately, I'm now very disappointed. But better that I waste my money than you guys. And how you can help me recoup my money is liking this video, subscribing, sharing with a friend. That would be awesome if you could do it. Hopefully I'll have something that's a bit more useful to show you in the next video. And as always, folks, stay safe when you're riding. Thank you very much.